afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Welcome, Art. Welcome back.
Welcome,
Friday,
Craig.
the last Friday of October, right? I think. Is it? And it's Halloween this weekend.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Celebrating. Wow. Very cool. Let's see. I'm heading to the Southern Command, so this time next week I will be in warmer temperatures, southern latitudes.
Lucky you.
I
Fort
know.
Myers, right?
Fort Myers, heading down to Fort Myers. We'll be there by Sunday, so that's cool. But all my stuff, my studio as it is all shipped down. I've got the little laptop; it's running fine. Boy, I'll tell you what, Art. I hate to keep beating the same old drum, but there's a lot going on in terms of the AI world. I had an epiphany the other day relating to copiers and office technology that we might want to talk about. I heard from our friend sitting here in Australia, one of the copier dudes down there.
Right.
Mitchell. I don't know if you remember him, but
Bilby?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's running a bunch of AI stuff down there, but the thing is he's an MPS dude, right? And I think what caught my eyes, he wrote another MPS article or something like that. But
Right.
Interesting how the rest of the world is paced either pretty much behind where we're at, or in a whole nother area. Because I've been concentrating on Europe and now a little bit more in Taiwan, and I'd love to tell you about my Taiwan thing, but we might not be, maybe wrong. Anyway, lots of changes, lots of stuff going on with AI, and we can get into it. But I really want to start. Anything new in the copier world? What have you heard? Anything?
Let's see. This week, kind of slow week. CDA had their meeting out in Vegas,
I was just going to say that. Yeah, the CDA had their meeting,
and other than that, I guess the only news I have is Xerox launched a partnership with the New York Islanders. Great America posted something about their partnership with B2B Toolbox.
Oh, well, I missed that.
So apparently,
Really?
It is announced that a new capability integrates financing into an e-commerce platform.
Oh, I did read that. Yes, because we talk. Someone I was talking about was about e-commerce, and that did come up. Yeah.
Right. So the collaboration
awesome.
is supposed to enhance sales process for office technology providers and create a full digital experience for their clients.
Well, I mean, it's
as
good.
far as I'm concerned, Great America's, their probably code is going to be embedded in the B2B toolbox, so that when somebody goes on and clicks a copier for $10,000, then it's going to give them the financing options.
Yeah.
And then it's going to lead them from the financing pricing. It's going to lead them to submit a credit app, and everything will be taken care of digitally. And it will probably, I don't know yet, but I would tend to think if it's a fully digital process, it will deliver the digital documents to the end user.
Digital doc, I would imagine it's going to link up with the rates. So when the rates change, it'll be automatic or whatever, be there to handle that. It'd be cool if approvals were automatic too. I mean, I don't know how deep that'll go, right? If
it's probably going to send the auto, probably once it has the client's email address, it'll probably send out the approval.
Send out the approval
right to the client,
and then hopefully a digital DNA, delivery and acceptance, because
that will be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because technically, you can't sign a DNA before the machine's been delivered.
It's a delivery.
And if you're just doing an e-commerce site, well, what happens once the equipment is delivered and the client doesn't follow up on the DNA? Or are they going to do it like they did COVID, where they had people were signing? There was a addendum where they were signing in advance, even though the equipment wasn't delivered, which then opens up another can of worms. Is what happens if the equipment is, I don't know, postponed for 3 weeks, 5 weeks? What happens if the equipment is damaged? What happens if it doesn't get there?
There's all sorts of if that's now, I can see the COVID thing was a special thing. That would be,
Or,
temporary and special. But this issue, I mean, at the very, just thinking crazy thoughts right here is like, okay, did the machine show up? Yep. Send a picture of it. Okay, there you go. Because it does, if there isn't such a thing, the opportunity for fraud at a huge level starts to happen, right? Because then you can just have DNAs out there that don't exist to, people, to companies and things like that.
well, if
That
people never got the equipment and they
people
signed the
never got.
DNA, and then
Yeah,
it almost acts as as somebody could perpetuate a virtual loan with no hardware in place.
incredible. Yeah. So I mean, that's a little thing. I'm sure it's all taken care of. I'm sure there's something in there, and it might just be the old manual process. Sorry, yeah, you have to get a signature from your customer, when it's delivered, when it's technically supposed to, when it's installed and it works.
Or maybe it's not going to be a full digital process. Maybe, since B2B Toolbox operates with dealers who are doing e-commerce sites, then it's up to that
Mm,
dealership to go get the final DNA done. Which leads me to another question.
interesting question.
If the machine's being sold through e-commerce and no rep is involved,
Right, right.
um, me, I'm not going to want to go out and get that. I mean, not if I'm not getting anything on it, why should I go out and make sure I follow up and it gets signed and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, that's a compensation issue. So if it does, I'm assuming it sources out of the dealer's inventory anyway. I'm guessing.
That would be that would most likely that would be correct.
Right. So it's up to the dealer. You could just tell people to go, yeah, go, it's in your territory, go get a DNA, and that's it. Or it's in your territory, you get a 3% kicker for getting the DNA signed, or whatever it is, right? Just whatever. Because, heck, if it is all what we're talking about, e-commerce, the acquisition cost of that sale is zero almost, right?
Right, right.
Didn't have to
But
do anything but.
as a sales rep, I'm not going out and chasing fucking dollar bills.
Mm-mm, you're not. You wouldn't. You wouldn't. Which reminds me, I mean, there's a difference, right? The newbies would. Right? I mean, part of your training process, you've got to deliver DNAs for the first 24 months. But no, we'll get you get a spiff every 90 days. What do you get? A Starbucks card. Yeah.
Right. So, just going back, I haven't had anybody ask me in the last 5 years, hey, do you have an e-commerce site where I can just order something off of?
Well, Art, that's true. I'd also say that the ones who want the e-commerce wouldn't ask you for the e-commerce. They'd find it.
Oh, or who knows? I mean,
But I agree with your premise. Not everyone's out there buying copiers out on e-commerce, especially the SMB. Still, even as commoditized as it is, right? If you think, I mean, it's more complex than buying an automobile, and they're having a hard time selling cars online.
most don't know their print volumes. Most aren't aware of their history of print volumes. And that makes it a little tougher because I would say 80% of the industry of the clients want a maintenance agreement in place because that's what they've been used to. And that can give them a predictable cost, right? Who wants to finance a piece of equipment or get a piece of equipment and have an unpredictable cost
Oh
of
no,
business?
you don't want to do
There's
that.
nothing you can budget. Um,
Well, let's see. Does how who's a good person to ask is probably Earl, right? Because
right?
he does that. Whatever heck he does. What? No
All in
overage.
all in
All
one.
included.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that might fit right into that model because just embed what would I embed 100 a month,
right.
100 images a month or whatever. I mean, that's terrible. I'm sure it's more than
Well,
that.
you could actually have you could have different choices in your e-commerce site for include this amount of pages per month or include
Yeah,
this amount.
that's what I do.
Have at least five radio buttons that you would click for certain volumes.
Yeah, just do that. And there's a caveat, if you do go, put all that crap in it. If you do go over, we're going to charge you somehow. But
Right.
yeah, it's not as cut and dry as it, is going to Amazon and picking up even a printer. Even a personal printer is complicated now. A little more, I mean, it's not just like buying pens and pencils.
Plus plus all the printer manufacturers and the smaller MFP providers really lie about
Oh my,
their
no.
cost per page, because when you see cost per page as low as 3 cents for black or as low as 5 cents, whatever it is, the cost per page is for black or color. They only look at their consumable parts,
Right.
consumable items, right? But those consumable items, a lot of manufacturers have moved diffuser units, transfer belts over to the parts side, even though they have a limited life
Yeah, there's
expectancy.
a life expectancy on there. It will wear out.
Right, right. But they don't include that in their estimated cost per page of what it's going to cost you to run that device, which is a bunch of freaking hogwash.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, that's one of the places in the industry that there's been all sorts of tomfoolery and shenanigans and
And
stuff.
it will
But that,
continue.
yeah, I know. Well, I think what'll cleanse that out is when people stop buying copiers.
Hey, so I don't see it ending anytime
I
soon.
know, I know.
So there was good. Did you catch the podcast from AIM and Twain Developing Group
I think I did, but I don't
with
remember it.
Joe from Joe?
Oh,
What's Joe's last name? From Kodak.
yeah, our Joe, right? The one we've talked to. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do
Okay.
remember it. Yes, 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 yes.
So if you caught that, there was it's something interesting that he believes the term digital transformation is too broad, and it may go by the wayside. In what to replace it is what he referred to as IDP,
Yeah, what was that?
image
Image document,
document processing.
potato. I know, I know. Well, I think digital transformation should be dead anyway because it's been used too much. For crying out loud. I mean, it's not just documents; it is everything. But image document processing, that's fine with me. That narrows it down to that particular niche. So that's
Yeah,
cool. Hey,
correct. Yeah.
I give him a hard. I'm not giving him a hard time, but that's where the growth is. I think in wide format and capture. I still believe that that's where
Oh, it's
you
got to
know.
be. I, I
uh,
I I walked in an office today and just I mean they had rolls and rolls of old legacy prints that were just
yeah.
sitting out in the open. I mean, why should a customer, every customer who has a building, they pay per square foot, right?
Mm-hmm.
For
Yep.
either maintenance or
I
rent
know where you're
or to
going.
own
You're
it.
absolutely right.
Why
Yeah.
do they why should they have to take up space for paper-based documents, right? I mean, that should be a no-brainer for any company to say, okay, we don't need to have any file cabinets in our office anymore. There's no need for it anywhere with the technology that's available.
Yep.
Think
Yep.
of think of how much money you could just save in the square footage for the rent space or the owning space, right?
It's
Not
the whole
alone.
thing. It's the rent, it's the utilities, the electricity, the heating space, all that stuff. There's all
Correct.
sorts of things involved with that.
Correct. So Joe went on to mention that you know IDP or image document processing is this is going to be here for quite a while still.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that so yes, it's going to be here for a while. The one thing that's been creeping in my mind the last couple, 2, 3 weeks has been, I hate to use the word hybrid, but a hybrid, right? And it was on our show, and I'm not sure if it was Joe who mentioned it, but there was some mention of a system, a digital system that helps them manage printed documents. I think someone just threw it out there as a throwaway statement, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, what? So, like a digital system to manage paper documents.
No, that would be Kodak brought that up with their info
So,
solution or info input or something.
the idea that I heard or got, and I could be wrong, was that we still have the physical pieces of paper, but it's all being managed digitally. Okay, so I'm thinking, okay, what the hell does that mean? All right, so what? I've got a front end here. It's like the old school, not microfiche, but the old school robots that would, what would they grab? And what video was that? You know, there was a time when you would have these, and it's maybe a Mission Impossible, but it was real. So you'd have these archives, these digital archives that had tons and tons of hard drives, literally physical devices. Think of the old CD-ROMs, the old,
Right.
storage, and they're all stored stories tall, and a mechanical arm would go out and pick whatever you needed and then load it in, right? As opposed to it being always online and always connected, because it was a level of security, right? If it's not connected, no one can get to it.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
I
would
get
know
it.
that document XYZ is located on disk
Right,
14. Right.
right, right. So it was a digital way to manage digital assets as versus what I picked up from whoever. Joe must have said it. A digital way to manage analog assets, and that kind of fascinated me for a little bit. It's like, all right, that's cool, because digital, as we know, once the end comes, it's all going to disappear. You're not going to be able to go back 3,000 years from now when no one uses tape to pick up data off of a cassette tape or an 8-track,
Right.
because the technology will be gone.
Hey, believe it or not, I was
Interesting.
in an account this week who is still putting documents onto microfiche.
No way.
Yep.
I mean, no way. Really?
Yep. Yep.
I didn't even know the machine still existed.
They still exist. I was surprised when they brought me over and showed me. I was like, these still exist? He goes, yeah, even where for some customers, they're still asking to put it on film. I go, okay.
Wow. I don't know. That's really funny. This came up. This second time it's come up in the last few days. I don't know what the heck. I was walking by a TV somewhere, and someone was watching this show, and I think it's one of the NCIS shows, right? I don't watch them, so I don't know. But I'm watching them, and there's someone sitting at a desk rifling through microfiche. I'm going, what the hell is going on? I go, yeah, it takes place in 1980. Oh, okay. But so they still use it. That's interesting, Art. I'm wondering if there is something there. Digitally manage analog assets. I'll have to write something up on that. But anyway, so that's one thing that continues to be interesting in our little niche. The
So,
CDA meeting was funny because I just saw pictures of it.
right.
I mean, I'm not going to pick on the CDA, but I'm going, geez, oh, Pete's 1993 called. It looks exactly the same. And I think again, I'm not picking on anyone, but the slide that I saw was sales and marketing alignment.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it. Yep. Yep. I was interested to see what that was all about.
Well, I can probably write the script or go to ChatGPT or Perplexity and pull one up that's up to date. But, I don't know. It's working, so whatever. It's just, wow, just fascinating, fascinating.
Yeah, I'm looking for something on a recent Netflix series that I saw.
All right, now we're getting into it. All right, yeah. What do you?
Sci-fi. It was sci-fi.
Describe what happens, and I'll probably know it.
Describe what happens, and I'll probably know it.
So
About these 3 people from England, or there was 6 people originally. 3 people got killed, and they would wear these headsets that were interfacing with the aliens that were supposedly coming to the planet to take over, but they weren't going to be here in 400 years.
Oh, all right. It's terrible because it's on the fringe of my my memory, so I don't remember.
I'm trying to look it up on Netflix. I think the three was in the 3-body problem. That was it.
Oh, I did see that. That's crazy.
Absolutely.
That is crazy.
Right? If you want to talk about sci-fi and future, and I mean,
well, it's based on the 3-body problem, which is a real astrophysics problem.
I
That
wasn't
they
aware of that.
Yeah, so the whole thing is based on the three orbiting bodies. Blah, blah, blah,
Mhm.
it's like, okay, I'm lost, but I'm hanging. And I think is it Korean or Japanese? I'm not sure. It's something
No, it's
from
English.
they're English. All right, well,
Well, most of them, and there's English, there's Americans, there's Indians,
well, it's a
Jess Hahn,
fascinating.
Liam Cunningham,
Oh,
Isaac Gonzalez,
pretty British.
across continents and decades, five brilliant friends make earth-shattering discoveries as the laws of science unravel in an existential threat
It's
emerges. I think Biden got that better than me.
no, you got it better than him. But
Yeah, but
let's not pick on the elderly.
I thought it was I thought it was an amazing
It
series,
is.
and I went through 8 parts, and I go, man, I can't wait until the next part. And how about the part where the guy was dying of cancer, and they were able to take his brain out and
Oh,
put it in a capsule, and a goddamn capsule fucking exploded,
yeah,
or it went off into
that's
off
right. I
course, and
forgot about that. Yeah, it didn't explode. It's off somewhere,
yeah,
right? So it's
yeah,
still around. So next season.
just out, yeah,
It's well,
maybe it'll come back around,
it
but.
will.
But I,
Interesting.
but I thought some of the paths that they were developing were pretty unique. Pretty,
Yeah, Art. That's a it's. I've read plenty of articles around that story, and yeah, it's why the three body whatever problem is a serious It's a gravitational issue of some sort. But of course, the movie takes it and blows it up into all sorts of other things, which is really cool. Yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. Um,
So I just thought I'd mention that.
no, that's a great mention.
Another thing that I wanted to talk about is that you gave me LM notebooks, I believe, last week or
Oh
the week
yeah,
before,
yeah.
where you're able to take a blog like you and I were big in writing blogs, and you can actually take that written content and turn it into voices, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I did a recent blog that I did 8 traits of copier salespeople, right?
Hmm.
And I really didn't know what I was expecting out of
Right.
it,
That's the best.
but I was amazed that it actually went outside of the document I wrote and picked off things that I put on the web years ago,
I know. I know.
right? And put it all together in a 20-minute. Now, it would have probably taken me 5 minutes to read the blog, but it gave me a 20-minute podcast. Now,
Yeah.
I've never been a fan of podcasts, right? Just because time, right? But then again, the other day I had a podcast come across, and I go, look, I really want to hear this podcast, the one actually by AIM and
Hmm.
Twain Group. I
Hmm.
said, okay, I can just listen to this while I'm working, right? And then I'm going, yeah, I'm a late comer to podcasts, and I'm going, this is fantastic. I can just sit here and listen to it while I do my work, right? Not that I'm going to comprehend a whole hell of a lot, but I got the gist of
You get
what
the
it was about.
gist.
And
Yeah.
now I'm saying, oh my God, all this content I've written, I can now start my own podcast show.
Well, so right, yes, yes. And I'm just like you. When I first used it, I don't know, I put maybe one or two articles. So it's Notebook LM. It's a Google tool
Yep.
that is free right now. And it's an AI, all blah, 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 blah. Now, I am not a Google fan. Know that. So when I look at stuff from Google, like I think they just came out with something. No, that was not them. Gemini, whatever it is. Anyway, I knew about Notebook LM. I heard people talking about it, and press and all this stuff. And it usually, if it dies within the next 72 hours as a subject matter, then it floats off my radar. But if it comes back, and it kept coming back by other people and other sources,
Right.
so yeah, I go out there and I figure it out. And I remember reading about it. It says, yeah, it's a great study tool. All right, whatever. So I'm
Right.
looking at it, and it's an interface where you can put sources of knowledge. It can be anything from not handwritten, but notes,
Yep.
documents, websites, YouTubes, things like that, into this area, this desktop, let's call it, and it'll generate a summary of all those documents. Remember, it's designed to help people study and research. So that's the leverage point.
Right.
So as a student, and you had to write an essay, whatever, from high school to college, you're out there grabbing information, grabbing stuff. You remember the old days of, got papers, left, right, encyclopedias, dictionaries, all, books, whatever. Well, take that analog and put it into this thing. And this thing, it creates a table of contents, it creates a briefing, it creates study guides, it creates questions. And based on that knowledge, quote, knowledge base that you give it, you can ask it questions and it'll draw conclusions.
Right. I haven't gotten that far.
Oh, no, this is in the last 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
As an add-on to all that, it creates what they call it's a cast. It's end up being a podcast, but it creates a show.
Right.
2 people talking.
Yes.
About the content you put in there.
Yep.
And it's not like reading the transcript.
Right.
They're having conversations.
Right. So I'm gonna see if we can share this, and if
it blew me away.
And if you can hear this. All right. Let's see right here. Can you see my screen?
Probably. I just don't.
There we go. Can you see it?
Oh, yeah. Thought that was my screen. Yes, I see it. There you go.
So
look what you did.
Can you hear that? You can't hear it?
No, I can't hear it.
Shit. All right, I got to figure out how to have that play. How can I do that? I wonder if I take off my mic.
Well,
hold on.
Probably not the mic.
No, can't hear anything?
No.
Not sure how to make this happen.
Well.
Can you hear that?
No. Nope, can't hear it. Let's see here. You know what I have?
Can you hear that?
Can you play it just through your speakers?
I don't know if I've got my speakers hooked up. Hold on. I usually just keep it in my my headset.
I understand.
Speakers, Yeti. It says it's 100%. That we mean, do I have to unplug my mic? Don't know.
Copier sales rep.
There you go. I heard that.
Yeah. What really struck me about this document is it's not just for salespeople, Right.
Let's see if I can turn it up. Hold on.
I can hear it.
You can hear it?
Yeah.
Valuable insights here that apply whether you're closing deals or just navigating everyday life.
I like that. Kind of a life hack angle.
Exactly.
Okay, so what's one of the big takeaways from this copier sales guide?
Well, one thing that jumped out at me was how it talks about the role of the copier rep.
Okay.
It's not just about pushing products anymore. It's about becoming this trusted advisor.
Ah, I see. So it's less about the hard sell and more about building relationships.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially in today's world where people can research anything online.
Right. They don't need someone to just tell them about the product.
Right. They can.
Right.
Yeah, they want someone who can actually help them solve their problems.
Someone they can trust.
So how does that actually play out in practice? What is that?
All right. Let's review, Art, what this really, and I hope people watch this.
All right, hold on.
This document, it all starts with understanding the client's needs on a deeper level.
Okay, so
killing me.
I got to plug back in. Hold on.
Not just waiting for your turn to talk.
Exactly.
Come on, all right.
Focusing on the technical specs of a copy.
Technical difficulties here.
You're doing great. So to sum up,
yeah, I'm here.
You put a blog, one of your blogs, into Notebook LM. It digested it, and then you click the button podcast or whatever. I don't even know what that button is. You click that button, and out came this. Is that basically it, Art? Did you add any? Oh, I can't hear you. That's fine. I'll keep talking. I can't hear you. You killed your mic. You killed your
Can you hear me
whatever.
now?
Now I can.
Now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Excellent.
So yeah, I added music at the front and music
Right.
at the back.
I'm talking about the content though. Was it just one
No,
blog?
yeah, it was just one blog. I
All
listened.
right.
It turned it into 16 minutes. I listened to all 16 minutes, and there was nothing that I needed to change. And the
Isn't that crazy?
LM Notebook actually gives you the opportunity to go in and change something if you don't think it interpreted it or comprehended the written piece correctly.
Absolutely. And that's just one blog, Art. So
I know.
what I've been doing in the last few days is loading up almost like half a dozen to a dozen sources of research, right? And it's anything from a website. Sometimes it can't open up the website because the website's it's just like everything else.
So
You
what
can't
you're
get to
telling me
it.
sometimes what you do is you put the URL in, and
Yep. Oh
instead of
no.
loading the document, you just put 5 or 6 different URLs.
Correct. Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
And it'll tell you it can't read the URL. It could be for a dozen different reasons. Then after that, all I do is go out, put it into a reader, cut and paste, and then I throw all that into a Word doc, and then I upload the Word doc as a document into the research.
So when you get that finished MP4 file back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you then add in the middle? I know we can put stuff on the front end. You can put stuff on the back end through, if you have a video editing software, right?
Well, yeah.
But you could probably do the same then, right?
It comes down as an MP3,
well,
so
yeah.
it's not a
Well, I convert it to an MP4, right?
right.
So I put it on my video software.
Right.
I add an intro and I add an ending, but gets me to thinking even more.
Oh yeah.
If you had a sponsor, you could put your sponsor in front.
You could
have it at 10 minutes, put another sponsor in.
Art, that's just the MP3. That's the audio editing. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I know the audio editing. Yeah, it's something you could do. Absolutely.
Yeah, but what you've got is, so my point is, you can put a dozen sources at least in there. But it's kind of weird. The podcast is just an add-on. It's not really what that thing was focused on doing. It was more on focused on making a briefing, like helping you study or research.
Well, damn, I get more value out of the podcast.
But what they've done recently is, and I haven't used it yet, but they put a button in to, when you say generate the podcast,
right?
It has an option to concentrate on, so you can tell it to concentrate on a certain subject or theme, and it'll do that, right? So I haven't experimented with it,
right?
But I'll tell you what, Art, this is where I'm at with it. Is I'll go out to Perplexity for free.
Yep.
I'll ask Perplexity to do a bunch of research for me on whatever subject, right? And it's really good. It's up to date. It has the sources right there.
Right.
Okay. I'll take the output from Perplexity and put it in as a research material for Notebook LM. All right. I will just chuck full that thing up, right? And then ask for whatever, a briefing, a debriefing, all the study guides, all the answers, everything that it does, kick that out, and I'll dump that all into ChatGPT. One of my GPTs.
Yeah.
I say, hey, use this material, these findings, these sources, because with Perplexity, I've got all the sources. All right. And write a 455 article in your tone, your style, without adverbs, with boom, and out you go. And out it comes. And I'll bet you I could probably feed that output from GPT into another Notebook LM and get another podcast. Or, all right, I'm going to do this, is every single one of my articles for the imaging channel, it's been like 2 years of new to copier sales.
Yep.
I'm going to dump that in there. And then, so you know what we're doing? We're killing sales trainers.
Huh.
Why do you need them? Because everything that Notebook LM is doing, they did for years, 6 months. Ask them how long it took to put together a training course. Just a
Right.
simple training. It's like months.
Mhm.
All right. This thing does it with multiple podcasts if you want.
Right.
One person. And if we're doing it, it's not like we're teachers. It's like we've been in the business. Right? Well, it's in the old days you had to have a teaching talent of some sort, right? Even more back in the olden days. Teachers were special because they were able to communicate to students in a certain way that they
Right.
could understand whatever it was. Well, those days are done.
Right.
You don't need that anymore.
So is there a way that this can help the down the street sales rep
right now,
with, producing I would tend to think if they had their own content, they can at
Or-
least do their own podcast.
doesn't have to be their content. So they could take one of our podcasts or one of our articles or anybody's
and
article,
drop it in, right?
drop it in.
Cut and paste, put it into a PDF and say, it's mine. Oh, interesting.
Well, in essence, it is theirs because all you're doing, it's no different than going to the library for research material,
Right.
coming up with something
Right.
based on what you put in your brain and what came out. Now, there's the trick, and then delivering that,
Mhm.
right? Because the podcast is an iteration and interpretation of all that research.
Right.
That's my view. But yeah, you're right. I mean, and then the article, it could be anything. It could be anything. So if I'm getting into, if I like you, all right, wide format. Oh my God, Art, right? I
Yeah.
see or sales rep. I see an opportunity here. I don't think anyone's playing in that industry. So what you would do if you were a professional like you are, you go out and learn whatever you could about that particular niche, their business needs, whatever problems they have,
Right.
and then talk to, get familiar with that industry and that niche, right? Okay, that's fine. Now that you can do, right? The notebook LM, you can just grab all the information you want, put it in there, and then and it'll tell you about that stuff.
Right.
Or grab all that, do what I did, and then just put it in Perplexity or Chat and say, hey, tell me about this industry using this. But you're right. So then if you're really smart, you can create some content. When I say create, boy, in a weekend, you could create probably 2 months worth of content
Probably.
and podcasts as a salesperson.
Interesting.
You don't
So-
need the marketing department. You don't need any of that. Oh my God.
So let me ask you a question. Let's get this, maybe I'm going to go off the track of office technology.
All right.
When I was high school, right? I used to write a lot, right?
Oh, okay.
So, but all of those were on pen and paper, but it was lyrics that I put together.
All
But
right.
I never did anything with those lyrics. I still
Mhm.
have them.
Oh, you do, yeah?
Yeah. So, can I
Yeah.
put these lyrics in and have one of these programs write me a song
Hell yeah.
and a voice to sing it?
Hell
And-
yeah.
And could I tell it to give me the style of what song
Snoop
was I
Dogg.
listening today? No, I was listening to House of the Rising Sun.
Oh, the Doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Now,
what you
LM notes that wouldn't do that, but that'd probably be another site, correct? That could do that.
well, what you could do, yeah. So you scan in the documents.
Yeah, or retype them.
You could do either one, and then ask it it'll interpret what I just scanned it as a PDF. You could tell it to do that, and it'll do the best it can, and probably pretty good, but or not, or type them all in and then put them in, and ChatGPT is perfect for that because it's more of a creative assistant. Perplexity is a very good research and
But it wouldn't give
development
me a
one.
voice in music, would
No.
it?
That's your first step.
Right.
Is to create a lyrical and then ask those questions. Based on the lyrics, what's the best style of music? Based on the lyrics, because it'll take the tone, the syllables, the beat of the whatever it is, and then give you recommendations. And Art, there is software. I don't know it, but there's software out there that you can give it words and it'll sing. All right, in whatever voice style you want, male, female, all that stuff. The
Interesting.
creatives. Oh, and you want to
That'll be on my bucket list.
it. Put it on your next month list because then you can create a music video. It does that,
Right.
and people are doing it right now.
I've heard about that. Yes.
I mean,
Right.
actually, the creative side is just blowing up more than the business side.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. So
But,
before we end our show today,
Oh yeah.
we also wanted to talk a little bit about what we're using. Greg and I used it last week, and we're using it this week.
Yeah.
It's actually called Fireflies.
I have some questions too. But anyway, go ahead. What were you going to talk about? What were you going to say about it?
So Fireflies is a note-taking AI tool that you can use for your Zoom meetings, your MS Teams meetings, and it actually records our conversation. And when the show is over, it will actually give you a series of notes as to who spoke about what, when they spoke about, how many words they were speaking. And basically, so if you're like me and we do a show, and then I may not have the time to put the show into an MP4 format 3 or 4 days, I've already forgotten about basically what we spoke about at our show. But the Fireflies allows you to go back and say, okay, yes, this is what we spoke about. So I can put those notes on my YouTube channel, or I can put them on my P4P channel as a reminder. But think about it in the business sense of it when you're having a meeting with a client. And I would say that 60% of my meetings are now virtual compared to 100% being an on-site. And, while you're presenting, right, you don't, and somebody asks, a client asks a question or they start talking about something else, a lot of times you don't have the time to take those. Excuse me. You don't have the time to take those notes or write those notes. So Fireflies gives you a great tool at the end of that conversation to review your next steps with the client, or what they spoke about, or if they had additional questions that maybe you said, I don't have the answer, but I'll get back to you with it.
Yeah. And we don't have a special relationship with Fireflies, which is too bad because they should be paying us for this, but it is pretty good, right? I would also say there are other note-taking or what are the virtual attendees or whatever that are sitting in on Zoom sessions, Google's, and they function basically the same. There's a little more details you can get with some of them. It'll even tell you who's paying attention and who's not paying attention. I don't even know if that matters. But what I wanted to do is, because you and I had a meeting with, who did we meet with? We met with a bunch of people, and I think you had Fireflies lit. It was with Joe.
Yeah, somebody else actually had it lit. That's how I found out about it.
Okay, so I think Joe. Okay, I was going to try and share my screen. You're going to have to enable it. So Joe sent over the notes, just like you've done, right? Or somehow I got in touch with the notes of that meeting, right? And to bring everyone up to speed, it was Art and I talking to a group of folks with one of our buddies, Joe, and we were talking about.
Hold on, everybody.
Everything okay?
Yeah, here we are. Yeah.
All right, good. What the hell was I talking about? Oh, all right. You're going to edit that out, I guess, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we were talking about the LLM, notebook, and the podcast.
Podcast.
Yeah. So, all right, can you open up my ability to share?
All right. Should have it.
All right, let's see. Which one do I want to share? Is it sharing right now?
Should be. I opened it up.
Oh, there we go. I'm sorry, I didn't push the right button. There we go. Okay. So you can see. So what I've done here, you can see it, right, Art?
Yep. LMs to sell more now.
This is from our meeting with Joe. And I've also got some other ones here, AI on the rocks. I took a bunch of bourbon articles, put them in, details. Ooh, wow, that's a big one. Sex and tech, very interesting.
Right.
Copier sales scanning, that's you and me and I forget who that is, but that's one of ours, and this is the very beginning. So I just uploaded them into Spotify, but
Mhm.
this one, you gonna hear it? You didn't hear it.
Getting a ton of buzz lately. AI sales.
So you can hear it.
Specifically, those large
Yes,
language
yes.
models.
So it's the
Well,
same
one of
thing
those you've probably heard about
that we were
ChatGPT
talking about with what you did.
Right.
That's because that's what it felt like the sales training diving into. Like everyone in that room could feel it. We're on the verge of something big.
Yeah, and it's easy to get caught up in all the hype, but what we're really interested in are the practical takeaways. How are actual sales pros using these tools right now to close more deals?
Okay, Art, we talked about that, right? We didn't really express it explicitly.
That's
But
correct.
we talked about it, and
Yep.
it picked it up, and that's an emotional. This is what this is crazy. It picked up on an emotion, and expressed that. We didn't say anything like it's very emotional, and this is very, you know what I mean? So this is pretty significant stuff.
Yeah, pretty intense. Yeah.
It's nuts.
So let me ask you a question on, I didn't do that much with the LM notebook. Can you, I saw you can have multiple people, one person, two people, three people, but can you have like different accents?
Okay, I know what you're asking, but let me pretty much let me stop you right there. No, not yet. But remember, the goal of this particular app, this LLM,
Right.
for research and study.
Yeah.
It's not for presentations and talk shows. Now we are using because it's fine, right? It's absolutely fine.
That's right.
But no, it on its own does not shift into different languages
Right.
or accents. But again, there are dozens of apps out there that will do that. That will automatically translate. I mean, like we're saying, we get it. Any of those questions that you ask that are more on the creative side, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. You want a different accent? Yes. There are bots out there that are existing today that have replaced, thousands of call center employees in the Philippines. The bot will hear the end user's accent and then dive into responding with that accent.
Interesting.
It's, but it makes sense, right? If someone calls in from, I don't know, France to a call center and they speak French, the bot will pick up that it's speaking French and respond in French.
Mm-hmm.
So if you call from Georgia and you got or Texas, you got a nice Texas accent, it'll pick up on that and could in turn respond to you with that accent.
Got it. Got it. I did see in this LM that you could actually tell it what language you wanted to speak in.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's, as far as how it can help copier guys or anyone in sales, yeah. If you want to research, I've enterprise and strategic selling. You've got a multiple decision maker, global account, Fortune 1000, 12, 24 month cycle, complex sale. This is powerful because you're going to have intelligence. Not only are you going to have it in your head, you're going to be able to articulate value based on but using these tools. And right now in a unique manner. But here's the thing. They're no big deal. Everyone's going to be able to do it in the next, 24 months. This is not going to be a big deal. I've compared AI to a mouse.
Right.
Because the mice came out, no one knew how to use it.
Right.
No one knew how to use it. But like that, boom. So AI and LLMs are going to be the same thing. They're going to be so intuitive that we don't even think about it anymore.
Correct. But the advantage comes to the early adopters.
In this case, absolutely.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So all you salespeople out there, do some early adoption. Get in tune with technology. Look at the stuff that Greg and I spoke about today, which was Fireflies. and we spoke about LM notes.
Notebook, Note LM. Yeah, it's on Google. Notebook LM.
There you go, notebook LM, and be creative, play around with it, see how you can take these applications and gain yourself a business advantage over your competitors, because I can see it already. Unfortunately, I've got, I'm trying to intertwine my day job with my part-time job. But all it takes sometimes is 30 minutes. And in 30 minutes, you'll be amazed at what you can create.
It's incredible. I would say you get a 10x on it. If you invest 30, you're going to get 300 in results. It's that big. And I'm just goofing around with it. You get serious with it, and 10, 30x is. Anyway, yeah, I agree, Art. Okay.
So everyone, we are at the witching hour. We're at a little bit late today. We thank you for tuning in. Keep in mind that if you're a sci-fi buff, please catch Three Body Problem. Both Greg and I love it, and can't wait till the next season to see what happens. Always remember to like, follow, and share, and we'll be back here again next week. Thanks, Greg.
See you guys.